Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at a noticeably and distinctly French ship, as you can tell from the little camouflage that it's currently sporting, and hopefully from the background as well. This is the Dupleix, a French heavy cruiser. Well, technically the French didn't have any heavy cruisers. They had, I think it was something Croiseur Première, first class and second class cruisers, something like that. So she was eventually classified as a heavy cruiser or first class cruiser. This, you might think, looks suspiciously a little bit like the Algerie. It in fact is a predecessor, was a predecessor of the Algerie. This is a Suffren-class cruiser, an interwar model that was actually complete and involved in the Second World War, which is not always a given for the French ships. But she was active in Asia, then returned to the Mediterranean, hunting some Italian things without much success, before then eventually the French armistice put a rapid stop to her career, only to be picked up again towards the end of the war as part of the Free French Navy. And then after the war, she was used as a training ship all the way up to, I believe, the 1970s, when she was eventually scrapped. But yeah, quite a long life for this ship, and not the most illustrious career. But again, you have that the French Navy had some difficulties with that on the account of German interference, so to say, and that was on land, not on sea. Anyway, World of Warships, what do we have with this ship? Well, and the first and logical comparison that we have to make between the Dupleix and the Algerie, because the Algerie is the start of the heavy cruiser line on the French tech tree. Now, the Algerie is a tier 7, and takes a little getting used to after the excellent La Galissonniere on tier 6. But the Dupleix gets pretty much almost the same loadout. She gets 2 rapid reloads. She gets 2 instead of 3 engine boosts. But on top of that, she actually gets a defensive AA, which is something you see on the Grasse as well. Although the Grasse on tier 6 does not get the rapid reload. Other than that, yes, it's a predecessor. So she's a little more squishy than the Algerie. But Algerie is not something that you are. How do I put this? I have fond memories of the Algerie for being, I think, the first time I got a quadruple citadel in my in my Colorado at 5 kilometers or so against a point-blank Algerie fully broadsiding, trying to get his torpedoes away. Let's leave it at that. Maneuverability is very, very similar. But of course, you actually have the same guns because, well, this is an earlier model, but by name only, but the only effect that has is a shorter range. The rest is actually the same, which means you have a relatively potent armor-piercing shell for a tier 6 ship, especially when it comes to dealing with light cruisers, which in tier 6 matchmaking you're going to find a lot more of than necessarily in tier 7 matchmaking. She also gets basically the same torpedoes as the Algerie, just that they do a little bit less damage. And the AA is not quite as good, but then again, the AA on the Algerie is nothing to write home about either. And with the def AA up, the Dupleix can do a little bit, but it's not an AA cruiser, so don't be fooled. I think that defensive AA is a bit more of a gimmick rather than anything. I mean, it's welcome, but I'd have preferred something like a sonar on this ship. That said, the surface detection is a little bit worse, which is weird, but we'll take it. So effectively, we have a tier 6 Algerie. Now, she has to obviously compete with the frankly excellent de Grasse and La Galissonniere, the light cruisers, which are forward biased in their guns, whereas this thing, just like the Algerie, has the guns in an even layout, which on a very lightly armored ship with a very, very nice flat unarmored side skirt here is something that you'll have to be a little careful with. Now, you get the choice between a general buff for 2% more hit points or 3% main battery reload. I take the main battery reload, to be honest, over the other one, because the AA is nothing really to write home about. Don't let the def AA skill fool you. This is not an AA cruiser, and you get the traverse speed in both anyway. Moving on to the equipment. Given the very, very slow turret traverse on this ship, and the fact that you have to swing your rear turrets around whenever you're making any kind of sudden movements, I have opted to use the main battery mod 1. I haven't tried the mod 2 for faster reload to see if there was any kind of impact on the reduced health on the turrets, but so far they're doing reasonably well. And I'm actually sailing with concealment here on this because this is a relatively sneaky cruiser, and I am starting to like concealment more and more as it goes. That said, it's tier 6. So you don't always need it. It's using using the rudder shift in slot 3 is also valid. The historical camo, if you choose to purchase it, gives you hit points, range, dispersion, and traverse speed, all good things, although I would have probably appreciated concealment over traverse here. I have put a legendary commander on it, just because I can, but obviously the first battle is going to be done with a regular captain setup, and only the second game is having the legendary commander. The big benefit of Obonyo here is the Sixth Sense skill, because it allows you to know when you're being shot at, whereas the Fire Supremacy kind of prevents you from using the Daredevil. Other than that, the Master Reloader and the APCS Plus are always good skills to have, because at tier 6 these shells can actually hit reasonably hard. So all in all, an interesting addition to the tier 6 cruiser generation. And that just leaves the question, how does this thing play? In the first round, we are in a carrier game against Hiryu, Fuso, Renown, York, the Grasse, and a Fushun. Now, like I said, this is not an AA cruiser, so don't be fooled into that. But we are playing Domination, and we'll see if the carrier comes our way or not. Worst case, we'll have to do some dodging. And in mid-tiers, it's not always a terrible thing. The guns come with AP preloaded, but because we have a balanced layout of the guns, like I said, you do have to occasionally give an awful lot of broadside if you want to get them all on target. Now, carrier is going straight down the middle. I'm heading over into C-Cup, and given that the carrier does not seem to be coming this way, I'm actually firing the engine boost to get in there first, and we'll see if we find ourselves one of the destroyers. Actually, there is only one destroyer on the enemy team, or wherever else the destroyer is. So with that speed and with the concealment build, you can be a relatively nasty surprise for a destroyer. Just be aware that you do have a relatively slow reload, because this is a heavy cruiser. You're not quite as dangerous as something like a Galissonniere with a rapid reload. Okay, we are spotted. Destroyer is in C. Oh, no, actually it's the De Grasse. Hello, Mr. De Grasse. Rapid reload up, and that's a light cruiser at point blank. Now, he's probably been about as surprised as I was, so he's dropped his torpedoes, but that's not a problem to evade. And the bigger problem is the Renown that's coming right after him there, so I do have to back up here. And we'll see if we can land some torpedoes on some target, or if the Renown is actually slowing down as well. But with the Fuso on the left, no, Renown's avoided them as well. With the Fuso on the left, I am certainly not pushing into that any further. Although the Renown is focused on other targets. So after that little surprise about the De Grasse, who certainly did not expect to see me there, I think. We'll see what we do next. Where is he going? Is he going on the inside? Just in case he decides to come into the capture circle, I'm going to drop the torpedoes, but I'm already slowing down because, well, obviously De Grasse has torpedoes of his own and might have fired them, but he is... If he was firing armor piercing, he would actually be a lot more dangerous towards me, but so far he's been sticking to the high explosive. And understandably so, because nobody really knows what these ships are capable of. Okay, bot Fuso, that thing needs to go, unless he wants to start shooting at... Yeah, he starts shooting at me. Fortunately, the bot decided that he wanted to load the high explosive for this one, but I don't want to give him another chance, if possible, so we do need to get that thing killed. and shots out. That should do the trick. There he goes. Bot is gone. The Grasse has switched to the armor piercing, so we do need to be wary of this guy, because it's not a Galissonniere, but you see the absolutely hilariously, atrociously inaccurate guns here in action. Where unless they're giving you a full broadside, you're really not going to be doing an awful lot. So slammer in reverse to avoid the inevitable torpedoes. Actually, he dropped a lot earlier, and that's fine. I did have the engine boost running to throw his aim off, but yeah, with that little broadside action, that's not going to happen. But as you can see, just because you're in a heavy cruiser and that's a light cruiser, you can't really take it for granted. Now, the Renown is shooting at me as well, and I'm taking those on the belt. There comes the carrier. Not an awful lot I can do. I don't have a Def AA ready. But the enemy team is relatively low down, and I got lucky here that the dive bombers have not really done anything. That said, it's a Japanese carrier, so the torpedo bombers are a lot more dangerous. So this is going to be the real challenge. We're already going to slam her in reverse and then try to hack the island to deny him a torpedo angle from that direction. Okay, perfect. He's dropped forward. Def AA up, full speed ahead. Second torpedo bombers have dropped behind, and the carrier has missed. Now, this isn't due to any exceptional skill on my side, but I know how hard it is to land torpedo bombers on target. So I'm the last one to complain about it. But yeah, like I said, this if the carrier had been a bit more experienced, that wouldn't have worked, and I would have been very dead. But we're now controlling that position, and we can start unloading at the Renown, who has to damage control. We'll see if we can get another fire started. But I think the whatever battleship there, the battleship on our side can take that on. And there is the Hear You. Hello, Mr. Hear You. He's not going for me, but he is sailing away, unfortunately. So while I have triggered my rapid reload, I don't want to get too close to that Nagato over there. But unfortunately, the Hear You is sailing out of range now. Sorry, it's not a Nagato, it's a Fuso. I'm not sure if he's AFK or not, but I don't want to risk it. So we are just giving chase on the carrier. Could have done that a little better with the rapid reload. There come the torpedo planes again. Let's see if we can pull that one off one more time. Nah, I don't think I can avoid all of them. Still taking 2, but not 3. And the carrier is now being chased by a destroyer, which means that is a pretty much dead carrier, and I don't think he's going to get another chance to do anything about me. And we are ahead on points. The Fuso has been killed, and it's just a matter of taking down the carrier. I deserved that one. Oh, Hatsuharu, take him down. It's okay. A win's a win. So yeah, just because you're in a heavy cruiser doesn't mean that you're going to win a gunfight with a light cruiser. So even same tier light cruisers, you do have to be careful at times, especially that you do have to give a lot of broadside. And if you're facing something like a de Grasse or La Galissonniere, even worse, that knows how to use armor piercing and how to be bow in, then I wouldn't really bet on who wins that gunfight. The second round, we are playing with the full legendary all money can buy setup, and we're actually top tier against Conte di Cavour, Cesare, Derflinger, Dallas, Kirov, and Shinonome. No carrier this time, and a bunch of tier 5 battleships, so that should be more interesting. We'll see. But it's base capture on Silent Shoal. Nice mid-tier map. I quite like this map actually. And we're spawning on the north end, which means we are going to go probably right flank a bit. A couple of islands that we can hide behind, but we'll see what we can get ourselves up to. I do have a Congo there with me, and in mid-tier battles you really never know how the enemy team is playing. Either you get some people who know what they're doing, or you get some people who are just completely oblivious to what's going on around them. So the onset of the battle is a little bit more of determination of which one it is that we're facing this time. So I am, given that the Congo is heading to the other side for some reason, I am going to head out on the right flank and see what we can spot there. There is something out there. That's was there a bot? I think there was one bot in each team. So yeah, that's a bot Congo. So we do have the APCS now. And so it's a good opportunity to try out the AP. and see how much we can do. But we'll switch over to the high explosive, and it's not terrible. The bigger problem, again, typical French dispersion, pretty disastrous, honestly. So let's loop around and see what we're getting up to. And oh, there's the Shinonome. So there was going to be torpedoes in the water. Had he stayed undetected and not started shooting at me, then I might not actually have realized that he's there, continued on my way, and run into those torpedoes. Although those were well aimed. If I had actually gone forward, those would have completely missed. But I think I can dodge those. Yeah. So Shinonome torpedoes have not hit. But Congo is coming, obviously being a bot, coming in relatively close, so we'll drop some torpedoes on that thing. I've got the armor piercing loaded, APCS into the bow section, should do some damage, but yeah, even against the Congo, even with APCS, even trying to hit the bow section, it's not the greatest. The AP is pretty good against light cruisers, but or at point blank range, but otherwise not hugely useful. Now Shinonome is sailing out. There is a cruiser behind me that's going there. So, oh, come on, Wargaming. What is that hitbox? And I've even got the rapid reload from that. Typical island hitbox. Okay, in that case, we'll shoot at the Deflinger. Deflinger is a battle cruiser. It doesn't have great armor. So the enemy team is turtling. The Shinonome is trying to circle around, but it's being chased by one of our other cruisers. So that means I can actually make myself useful in trying to deal some damage. And can we get some more shots onto that Dallas? I'd like to get that thing out of the way as well. Just because we have a good crossfire with the cruiser on the right flank, who hasn't found... Oh, there's the Shinonome, okay. So we'll be careful. We don't want to rush ahead and get ourselves killed. That's the job of the battleships. But... we'll make use of what range we have and lead a bit more AP, even with APCS. At range is the right choice against destroyers, and unless you manage to bounce your agent shells off them flat out. But yeah, this works reasonably well. Bunch of semi-pens, so definitely even with APCS, it's not the strongest suit unless you are shooting at things like light cruisers at point blank range. So yeah, we'll stick with the team and just give some back row fire support and do what we can here, because tanking is not something that the ship can. Unfortunately, at this range, as usual, the dispersion is not doing us any favors here. But I am trying to deal with the destroyer to keep our Oktyabrskaya here safe, and and the Congo over there. So I just want to deter the destroyer and make sure that that thing does not come near our battleships into ranges where he can make efficient use of his torpedoes. I think that mission has been achieved. The rest of the enemy team is turtling up in their capture circle. We're almost dead even on points. We're even on kills, but we've killed a cruiser in the battleship, which means we're 10 points ahead at this stage. But the battle is not yet over, so a lot of things can still happen. Krasny Krim is coming in. Shinonome coming back again, so get the island between myself and that thing, which puts me at risk of the battleships. Get the turrets rotated, which even with the module is slow, and then slow down to make sure that any kind of Shinonome torpedoes aren't going to be able to hit me. And look at the Krasny Krim, he is actually going after the Shinonome. Well done. And that, if he's in the turn, so he should be slow, but yeah, there, got him. Okay, so he's dead. Krasny Krim is going to die, because he's now committed into the enemy defensive line. So we are going to lose our cruiser here, which means we probably need to make something happen still. And I could have been sitting behind the island, let the rest of them tank, but I think the enemy team is quite busy at this point. So I'll try and see if I can get some torpedoes away and effectively close this battle down. Krasny Krim has suicide torpedoes away, and I've got the Dallas to shoot at. It's the squishiest target, and I've got a couple of hit points to spare. So torpedoes out against the Deflinger, and then he might have. Oh no, he's lagging. Okay. I was thinking if that thing got sonar or not, but we'll use AP into the bow section, then going to go bow in again for the return fire, and I think the torpedoes have mostly missed because that thing went lagging. Drop another load onto the Cesare, and Deflinger has fired his mains, I think. It's not the greatest ship, the Derfflinger. Oh, yeah, nice. That would have been... I've almost got the torpedoes reloaded, so let's get the Derfflinger killed with the torpedoes. That should do the trick. Okay, Derfflinger should die now. And then we'll take down the Dallas, because I think the Chaser has managed to dodge my torpedoes. And did we get the Dallas as well before going down? Derfflinger got me, I got the Derfflinger, and I got the Dallas. Nice. So with that little run, we should have closed the game here. The battleships are now flanking the Chaser, and while the Julia Chaser is a very good ship, against 3 battleships he doesn't stand a chance. So yeah, French tier 6 sort of Algerie. It's an okay ship. It's not a terrible ship. It's I think it's not the most powerful ship. You can definitely have a nice little surprise with the guns. The biggest sort of weakness of this ship probably is the dispersion at range. That's where it starts really hurting a bit. But if you always wanted a French tier 6 heavy cruiser, and then that's not a terrible choice. You can have fun games in it. It's relatively consistent in what it can do. It's not an outstanding ship. I would say personally I could probably do more damage in a Galissonniere or in the Grasse than in this thing. But for a tier 6 heavy cruiser, it's not a bad ship. And yeah, there it is. And that's it for me today. Thanks everybody. As I mentioned, I am on vacation, so next week there's not going to be any more videos. Sorry, because I really did not have time to record anything. But once I'm back in February, then we should be getting back to normal program, and more videos and more exciting things to come. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody. I will see you next time. Bye bye.